Hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. And welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Beate Gillette, and this is the Business Growth Architect Show. Today, I was really looking forward to welcome Alex Oliveira because we're going to talk about something today that you guys love to hate and hate to love. We're talking all about measuring optimization, ROIs, and all that good technical stuff that it takes somebody like Alex to really make it sound like it's super easy. Alex, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Beate, thanks for having me here on the show. I'm excited.
So for somebody who does not know what you do or has gasped, never heard about you, what would you tell them that they need to know?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I literally just got off the phone with a cousin in Brazil today who really understands what I'm doing. She's an entrepreneur herself, and she knows to scale companies, you need visibility online, you need to generate leads. But she was saying that she was talking to one of my aunts who lives here in the US, and that my aunt still doesn't know what I'm doing after 15 years. And I said, well, look, I help companies grow. That's it. That's all I'm a service provider, and everyone on my team, our superpower is helping drive traffic, generate leads, whether you're B2B, B2C, nonprofit, you all need leads. And sometimes leads even comes in the form of, hi, I need to attract a new employee. Then you do a marketing campaign around that to attract them, and you need leads. So leads aren't just your customers. Leads could be strategic partners, and that's what I do. And those things lead to growth in your business.
I really enjoyed this kind of conversation because one of the things that I've really been paying a lot of attention to lately, as we're talking about strategy, the objective of the way we approach strategy in the Business Growth Architect universe is that we say there's lots of strategies for everything, and you have to just figure out the kinds of strategies that work for you. So you don't just do one thing, you do a number of different things around lead generation. So give us an overview of sort of the larger strategic picture of how you use it in client attraction systems.
Oh, I love the way you position that. I mean, the question, and just even talking about the architect, you could see a blueprint. There's multiple ways, right? Like if you were a builder, you probably have many floor plans for different families, for different needs. In your marketing campaign, lead gen campaign, it's the same way. So I just got off the phone with my team earlier this morning, and we were talking about really segmenting our customers' lists even further than we have, and then really being intentional with the content that we provide to them, right? The sequence of emails and all of that. So from a like top view, what you're trying to do is give your customers and your prospects, these are two different groups of people, you're trying to give them the best experience possible. You don't want to waste their time. You want to solve their pain points. Now, before you go look at the analytics and think about optimizing, I just want to say to business owners, whether you're small, medium, large, go talk to your customers. Okay. We do this and we know that it works for every type of customer in any industry. You talk to the customers before you make any big moves and big ideas. Your marketing team may think it's a great idea. We should do this on TikTok, or we should do that on LinkedIn. Stop. Talk to your customers, talk to your audience. Ask the questions. Look, we're thinking about doing a masterclass series, and it's going to be on Tuesday, and the format is like this. What do you think? And then get some feedback. And that's just good old-fashioned market research. I've worked with focus groups and research companies, and it does work. Now, talking to 5 or 10 is not going to work. You typically need to talk to at least 50 to upwards of 100 subjects before you make a determination. That's why when you see polls in any industry, you see these polls that are, we polled 1,200 people or 3,000 people from different markets. So you definitely need to have enough subjects in order for you to make a determination. Once you have that information, Beate, then you can say, okay, now the creative team, the marketing people, not salespeople, because again, marketing people will convince you that you need to do this, that, and the other, but they're not as close to the customers, right? I mean, they may be close to the data and they're trying to convince you that I know what they want. The salespeople, the customer support people, they're close to the customer, not the marketing people. So that's why there's always this back and forth, and trying to get those three departments aligned, super, super difficult. But you as the business owner, you're the one that's driving. It's your job to get those three people in the same room, and it might be three different departments if you're a large enough company, and say like, look, here's what we heard from our customers. Here's what they want. I'll give you an example. I had a client 2 years ago, a home theater company. They do very high-end home theaters in these nice homes down here in Florida. They thought they wanted to build an app. Now, this came from the marketing team that just thought we should have an app for clients to interface.
Right. Oh God, I already know where this is going. Yes.
Yeah. Well, but basically the bottom line was, instead of spending $250,000 to just find out that there was no adoption, the research that we did for them just basically said, hey, actually your customers don't want another app on their phone. Oh. And you're still hearing these sorts of things, right? And so it's talking to your customers first before you go build your marketing campaign or lead gen campaign. You don't want to spend money on Google, on Facebook, and in any of these channels until you're certain that you've collected enough information from your current clients.
I really love that, because I see this, Alex, all the time. And I want to make sure that we really have this clear for our listeners. So you are saying that if I'm in isolation and I am looking at my work, and then I take my work and I'm going to present my work to the world, that does not automatically mean that people say, oh, Beata, you're so amazing, you're so great, let me buy it. That before I determine how I package it, what it exactly is that I'm teaching, I need to ask.
That's 100%. And it's backed by the SBA, Small Business Administration. Year after year, their research shows that the number one reason businesses fail, 3, 5, 10, even 10 years into it, is because there's no product market fit. And there's a lot of reasons we could talk about that. But when I talk to small business owners who have had failures, typically it's because they didn't talk to customers, and they went and made changes to their product, or they actually launched with services that it was already saturated, and their product didn't have a unique value proposition that was better than what was in the market. That's product market fit. And that's typically why you fail. Second reason why people fail is because they're not funded well enough. Third reason is because they don't have the right talent. And we can go down the road. But really, that product market fit, it's because you're not evolving and creating products and services that your customers want. The great companies, I'm not going to plug any of them in, but there's a lot of great brands out there. That's what they do well. They have teams who talk to customers and say, what do you want? How do you want it? It's not a silo from the marketing department that is just then telling sales, go out and sell this stuff because we think it's great. No, it's backed by real conversations with real customers.
That's really good. And I'm going to ask you to also think about an example, but I have an example right there at the top of my head. So when I was in the photography business, when my marketing said, do you want to make more money? It was an epic failure, because in the photography world, photographers only think about finding more clients. Now, finding more clients really means making more money, but it is such a simple thing that, you go like, well, I mean, allow me to translate this for you, mister, right? What you're saying is you want to make more money. No, it's an artist. It's a creative. The creative wants to find more clients so they can be more creative. They can't even think like this. Or another example, I've been talking to a lot of podcasters, obviously. So when you say, do you want to monetize your podcast? It's like this weird moment. They're like, oh, what? Stumble. And then you say, well, why do you have a podcast? And say, I want to increase my reach. Now, increasing your reach
is ultimately, or should be ultimately, the equivalent of making more money, right? Or monetizing what you're already doing. But this is just to demonstrate how a simple shift in the language that they're using versus the language that you are using could be the reason your marketing fails. So if you have an example, by all means, throw it in. Otherwise, I'm going to talk to you about something. It's been burning on my tongue. Sales, marketing. Is it the same? Is it different? What do people get wrong about this? Who should be talking to clients? Who should tell me what I need to do as a business owner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, marketing and sales, they live in the same universe, but very different. I've first of all, I've been on both ends as a business owner. I love selling naturally. Marketing, I had to learn over the last 12 or so years, and especially digital. I came into marketing before it was digital, but very different. Salespeople are driven by different things than marketers are. Now, today's marketers are also very different, because to be a great marketer, you have to be analytical, you have to be creative, right? Data driven and all the other stuff. So it's also a lot different than marketers 10, 15, 20 years ago. And on top of that, you have to learn how to work through all these different platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Google. You have to understand storytelling. Myself, when I entered this space, I knew very little about storytelling. As a matter of fact, I did a pretty horrible job about telling my own story. But over the years, I've gained these skills, because consumer and their behaviors are changing, Beate. It's changing all the time, because every time your mobile phone has a new version, a new update, your behavior changes. It's dictated by the devices and the apps that are out there. Now, certainly connectivity like 5G is going to make Web3 and that whole world a lot faster. And this way you'll be able to consume products at a much faster speed. I mean, you don't have to go much further than Amazon to see what the customer experience looks like there. It's turnkey, right? Everything is very turnkey. But again, if you're an e-commerce company, you probably don't think about sales a lot like a service provider, right? If you're selling your products on Amazon and it's all virtual, you just see marketing and sales together, because to you, sales is getting a good review so that you can sell again and upsell them again and again and again. If you are an influencer, you probably see marketing and sales as one and the same. I'm out there, I'm plugging products, that's it. Whereas if you're a service provider, an attorney, an insurance person, you're focused a lot on sales and relationships. Relationships still a big key of service providers anywhere in the world. And so marketing, you're sort of just like your example with the photographer. I have an example with a musician who works weddings, and he loves to play his guitar. He's a jazz musician. He doesn't want to be selling. So for him, it was important to create a customer experience that could happen automated, right? Turnkey. Someone finds him, so he's doing SEO. He's got good content, videos on the website, forms that customers can fill out, ways for them to book him as an artist for their event, ways to even sign the agreement and make the payment, all without having a conversation with him. Then he has the onboarding. That allows that musician or artist to work more on their craft, just like the photographer or anybody else who's in that world. So what I say to service providers is, look, you're trying to become as much like the Amazon e-commerce seller as possible, because you want to streamline things. But what service provider and small business owners already do that's very well is they know how to build and nurture relationships. You and I were talking before the podcast. The only thing they need to do now is get that blueprint to do it at scale. And that's where your marketing and technology stack comes into play.
Excellent. And that is our lead into my favorite question. And that is, amongst all these different strategies that you use and have developed over the years for your clients, now, as we are trying to get this to scale, what's your favorite strategy you can share with our audience today?
Email. I know it's not the popular one, everybody's gonna say, oh, I'm so tired of email. I'm so tired of newsletters and blasts. But that's the one that keeps you in front of your audience. We've tried SMS. SMS is nice, but while you get a very high open rate, you also get a lot of people who unsubscribe, and the information is not as rich as an email. So for email marketing, you don't have to always be hitting them in the head with an offer like buy this, register here. You just want to be helpful, Beate. You want to be helpful. And what will happen over time as you build your email list, the people who are not interested in your content, they're going to unsubscribe, and that's okay. And along the way, as you're trying to get out there, you're doing ads, you're doing SEO, you're bringing people into your funnel, and you're getting more subscribers, you're going to find people who stay because they like what you're offering them, whatever information that is. And I see that across all different verticals, the medical vertical, the automotive, insurance, legal, finance, the list goes on. You have an audience of people who aren't always running to Google or Facebook first. They're just going to their phone.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're opening their email, right?
Yeah.
And then they're engaging.
My brain is obviously exploding, so forgive me for interrupting so rudely here. But so there's a couple of things that you said I really want to make very clear. There's a conversation, number one, I've had many, many times, and that is, but people are on my list that are not necessarily my buyer. Do you differentiate between ambassadors or grassroots champions versus the hardcore optimal buyer? Do you cherish your ambassadors that might not necessarily be a buyer, but could be a referral? What do you do with those? Because this was a hot conversation we just had in one of my groups, where the conversation was, but they love me. They were listening to me speaking, as speaking is being used as a lead generation tool by a lot of service providers. But the audience is not the buyer. The audience boss is supposed to be the buyer. So what do you do on your list or on your email when you see that they love you, but they may not be the ideal buyer? What do you do?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, look, it comes down to segmenting your list, and it's not an easy job to do. It takes time. You need to kind of pick at it. It's an art. It truly is an art. The great marketers are going to look at all the data from your insights, your analytics. If you're using Google Analytics, great, you're using that, or your web analytics, and you're going to pick through that. And the first bucket that I'm going to go to create and pull into from everywhere in the list is what I call my super users, my super buyers. Now it may mean ambassadors to you, but if I'm selling a product, my super users are the clients that have been with me the longest. They're the ones that always pick up the phone, always refer me. There's a bunch of different checks on that list before you get into the super user. You also get my best content first. You also get invited to exclusive events first. You're on my mailing list. I have your payment information. There's a lot of things that make you a super user. Then I'm going to go to my influencer list. Those might be my ambassadors, people who open my emails, people who refer me. We're connected on LinkedIn. We chat from time to time. We may see each other at a conference, but I would consider those friends. They are ambassadors, they're friends, but I also am helpful to them. I do introductions every month, Beate. Every month, I have a task on my planner that is to take a few hours to connect different people and be helpful for no reason other than I want to stay connected to you. And I know that there's someone that you should connect with. So I'm going to take that time to connect you to for no reason. You didn't ask me for the connection. Now that's nurturing my list of influencers and ambassadors. Then I'll go down that list, list 3, list 4, list 5, different groups that I'm in, and then try to customize the content for each one of those lists. And to your point, I may be trying to get someone to open the email who's then going to share it with the decision maker. In that case, I call that the persona pair, right? It's a persona pair. Maybe it's the person who is in the networking group, but their boss is the one who's going to make the decision. I want to make sure that the email speaks to both. So it might be a mom and her 10-year-old, right? And I may be working with the YMCA who's doing a youth sports camp. And while I need to talk to mom, I also need to make the email cool enough for her 10-year-old and for her to share it with the husband, who really just is like, look, how much is it? And she's like, no, it's great. It's good for Bobby. And she's like, they're sitting around the table, the three of them. So I have to picture these interactions, and the segmenting becomes really key to success there.
I love that. We call it in our world, we call it the hierarchy of decision making, and always thinking sort of on the ladder of the decision making in a process. Is this person able to make the decision? And if this person is not, what do I need to tell this person so they can take that explanation on being my champion to the next step on the ladder and say, Alex is really great. Beata is really great. You got to listen to her. So they do the work for me. So we use that equally as a strategy. It's always fascinating to me, like how certain things, have different names in different businesses, but I'm like right there with you. So to the listener, please don't throw any contact away, because they could be a referral and they could be the champion that helps you to get to the decision maker. And you never know who they're sleeping with. You never know who they know. You never know who they're having breakfast with tomorrow. So you want to make sure that you keep treating everyone. Brian Tracy told me that one day. He says, every person matters. So every person matters. Question number 2, Alex. So now there is a huge debate about email content versus pitch. So is there a cadence that you're recommending? Because some people are afraid to go away from their content heavy insights to an actual pitch. So they say, well, they're on my list. I want to give them all the information, but they never sell anything. So what do you do? What would you help them out, Alex?
Yeah. So in that case, you need to do data appending. For those of you that are not doing data appending, you should do this. You could do that for compliance reasons, right? A new email that is changed, and now you're trying to let your server and their servers know that it's okay, so that you're not getting, you're not spamming people. So for compliance reasons, you append. A company that we use for appending emails is Xverify. They have free plans all the way to like 5 cents per record. So it's cleaning up your list, number one. Number two, you want to append additional data. So you could use services like Apollo to add information, key data points, so that you know what the revenue is if you're talking B2B, right? What the revenue is. If you're talking about a consumer, I know what their income is, their credit score. All those key points of data there is going to allow you to actually target them with the right offers. Down to even how many credit cards they have. All this information is out there. It sucks for us consumers, and we are all consumers. But yes, you can purchase this. I mean, if you think about Facebook has upwards of 1,200 key data points for every user. Now, the user didn't add that data to their profile on Instagram either. It's Facebook that appended that from companies like Experian to know exactly how many car payments you have and how much you pay. And that's how they modeled that data. So you yourself, I mean, if I have a financial advisor listening right now to your podcast, you can buy data from Experian. You may or may not be aware of it, but all these credit companies, they are equally marketing technology companies. They capture your data, they sell it back, and then marketers target you in much more meaningful ways, right? And so all Fortune 500 companies are using these tactics. But you, as a small business owner or consultant, you can use this too for as little as 5 cents a record. Typically, most of these data companies, I will tell you, they don't like to touch anything for less than a couple $1,000. So it's not like you can do $100 test. You have to have enough people in your database to then model it, add information to there. And what it's going to do for you, it's going to kind of tell you what you may not know about certain users. I mean, even down to net worth. So you're talking to somebody who says, look, I have 5 companies and my revenue is $100 million. And you're like, great, we are going to keep chasing this lead. And then you go to the database, you find out that, no, this guy's got 5 bankruptcies and really just, 5 websites online. why am I going to have my senior business development person chase that lead when, in fact, even the traffic to their website isn't accurate? So for marketing companies, marketing agencies, what we do is we look at that. If a lead comes to me, Beate, and says, "Oh, we get like 1 million users to our website," I've got all the tools. I can look to see what everything that is happening in the back end is. So if you tell me you have 10,000 members, I can find out pretty fast whether what you're telling me is real or not. And then I can actually say, you know what, that's what they're saying, but this is what's happening. Therefore, maybe they're not even going to be a cold lead. They're just going to be in my marketing list, because you're not going to chase someone who isn't being honest with you to begin with. So we live in a world of where data is available to you. So you, as small business owners, can do this. Add the information to your content management system, to your CRMs, and you'll be that much more intelligent about your prospects.
Absolutely fascinating. We're talking with Alex Oliveira about data segmentation and where to get the real data. So we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in yourself. Thank you for taking the time to learn the strategies that will help you to grow your authority and scale your impact. I am Beate Gillette. I am the Growth Architect. And just because you're here and you're listening to the show, I have two things that I would like to give you. Number one, for the subscribers to our podcast, we have exclusive bonus content that you can pick up at beategillette.com/bonus. And my second gift to you is a piece from our 5-Star Success Blueprint, our method where we help business owners just like you, experts in their industry, to grow, build, and scale their business to multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, and beyond. And this particular piece is called the Airtight Avatar, and that is our action guide that will help you to identify who your ideal client is in only 15 minutes. You can pick it up at airtightavatar.com. Thank you so much for listening, and now let's get back to the show.
And welcome back. It's Beate, and we're talking here with Alex about fascinating ideas about data segmentation and really getting to know the truth behind everything. So for somebody who is listening to this and goes, "Oh yeah, big data is watching you, big brother. This sounds really scary. I don't want to be like that." What would you say to somebody like that, Alex?
Oh, I love it, because that's the other side of what I do, Beate, is I have 4 kids. We homeschool our kids, and we talk about all of that in our podcast with parenting, and we write a blog and all of that for parents who are like, "Oh my God, my kids online and on social media. What do I do to protect them?" Well, we as adults are just as vulnerable out there. So a couple of things that you can do. First of all, use a VPN. A VPN, basically, it's on your phone, can be an app, or on your desktop. Also, just a plugin that you add to it. And what it does is it masks your IP address. There are free VPNs out there, like Firefox has a free one, or you can pay like $10 a year. It's an extra layer of protection between you and the marketers. And by marketers, I mean like people like me. So you can mask yourself pretty well if you're on my website by doing that. And then use a better browser. I'm not going to advertise any, but I'm just going to tell you that Chrome is not one of them. Neither is Safari. Now, Apple has been trying to give you, the user, better privacy and security. That's nice, but they're in business to make money. They care about the shareholders. So while Apple has been a little bit better than Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and the others, they're still, it's all about monetization for them. So you, as a consumer, the way that you protect yourself is to make sure that you don't just give your email to everyone. And on a monthly basis, as a professional, go through your email and unsubscribe to the people that you don't want to hear from. If that includes me, that's okay. Unsubscribe, because you don't want anyone controlling your time or cannibalizing your time, or more importantly, sharing your data. So an important thing is, when you subscribe to a newsletter or to an offer, or you're at the dental office, or you're at the car dealership, and they say, "Oh, give me your email and your cell phone number, your mobile, we're going to send you offers." Okay. Can I look at the privacy policy and see who you're going to share it with. What you're going to find out is that many companies, it says right there in the privacy policy, we're going to share it with our 500 other affiliates. Now, all of a sudden you're being bombarded. So understand where your first name, last name, email, phone number, where it's going, who it's being shared with. But then most importantly, when you're surfing on the web, when you're going through different websites, use a VPN, use a browser like Brave, a browser like Firefox is good as well. Go incognito, clear your history, your cookies, your cache. Make sure you've got malware protection on your computer. These are all things so that you don't find yourself being hacked. There's also, you can find out if your data has been breached. So Firefox has a feature that will tell you when your data is breached, your email. I recently just had a notification of mine that was breached by, I'm not going to name the company, but then I had to go there and say, please remove my name, because I was using the same username in another database. We could talk about passwords, which, some of us use very easy passwords. You should be using a password generation tool so that you can be more safe online. So again, there's a lot of things that you as a consumer, as a business owner, as a professional, you can do to protect yourself and protect your time. Because to me, Beate, it comes down to protecting my time. And you don't want to be caught into that web where someone steals your information and now you're spending hours on the phone, right?
Yeah, I mean, my information's been on the dark web sold many, many, many times. I could not live without a monitoring service. When AT&T called me about the phone calls from jail, that's when it became pretty obvious, right? I mean, this stuff, you always think it happens to other people. It's happening while you're not watching. So I agree with you. There's a setting also on the browser that every time you close the browser, it automatically empties the cache and all the cookies. It's a little bit more pain in the butt because you have to retype everything. You have to have a password, a software that you're using, random passwords, never the same password and anything. I mean, these are just standard things, especially for those of us who are relatively visible out on in the internet, like you and I. I mean, we have tons and hundreds of thousands of data points out there about the things that we do and the information that we give, that it makes us an ideal target. So I take this stuff extremely seriously. Do not ever, when Chrome asks you save your password in Chrome, say yes. That is just reckless, basically. All the stuff needs to be in your control and not in the same control of somebody who's trying to use your data to sell it so other people can sell you more. I mean, if I've summed that up properly. So shifting gears, you are, I'm just going to call you sort of a data badass. Okay. And as you are out and you're doing all this and it's all about data and numbers and business, is it all about business? What's it about for you?
I mean, for me personally, in my company, yes, I would say 10 years ago, Beate, I was more focused on scaling. So it was more the numbers and the business. But I think as I had more kids and the family grew, and of course, with aging, you start to think about different things. And it was like, wait a minute, scaling businesses is good, having business here, there, and the other. But ultimately, what are you going to do with all that money? And honestly, I mean, even with a successful business, we know businesses who do 100 million one day and then they're gone the next. So there's no sure thing. And so what I found for me that every business transaction, every new client opportunity that I have has to fit into my goal here on earth, right? And so if one of my big goals is to teach other small business owners and solopreneurs truly how to take control of their marketing, of their online lead gen, because there's just so much wasteful dollars out there. I mean, really, if you look at all the different people offering things that don't work, it drives me crazy, but that's not going to be my approach, to go point out to the world who's doing all the bad stuff, right?
I
My
can
goal
say
is
it
to
for
say,
you.
look,
I can say it for you. Google ads and Facebook ads are not the answer to lead generation.
they're truly not. Absolutely. And I mean, and you can't, it's very hard for you to compete on that stage to begin with, right? Those companies have the dollars to keep just, arbitraging the world of the web and saying, hey, we're the biggest, we're the best. You as a small business don't have the tools that they have, even for like attribution, right? You talk about data, the thing that most data scientists, most marketers, most technologists struggle with is data. And it's not perfect, whether it's Google Analytics or Shopify Insights or any of the social media insights that they give you. I mean, I take it with a little bit more of a grain of salt, but I have to cross-check it against everything else that I'm seeing. And ultimately, it just matters with the sales, the bottom line. Because if I say, oh my God, I'm getting 10,000 clicks to my website every day, and it's showing that I have conversion, but it's not increasing revenue, what's happening there? Even for an e-commerce seller, if they're like, look, I get a lot of traffic and a lot of people put my product into the shopping cart, but it's just not turning into sales.
Right? Exactly. I always say, I'd rather have you have $1,000 than 1,000 downloads.
Totally. Absolutely.
Because with $1,000, you can do something. So you were saying that as you were building your family and you had gotten very, very good in building businesses. So what shifted for you? Is the value system shifting? Because, and the reason I ask these questions, because we talk so much about strategy that I want to make sure that people know that even when I talk to the people that are hardcore data, right? It's not always just about money. So what is it about? So is it about that the value system changed and had to align to help that bigger purpose of you helping others to achieve success? Is that what it is? Is that what I'm hearing?
It is. You're right on. I mean, it's the values and it's your why, right? And I didn't really pay attention to my why a lot until I had kids. I was more focused on like, I got to grow this to 100 million and then sell and then start more. And none of that matters. It's your why. Is it like, does all that fit into the reason why you're here on earth? And not to sound so, like emotional about it, but it does matter. We all have things that we love and enjoy, and you shouldn't be doing something that you're not totally passionate about. And the thing that I find hard, Beate, is in business, if you're truly passionate about it, I am. I think about it 7 days a week. I can't help it. I think about my clients 7 days a week. But I don't take on clients anymore that are just simply a transaction. And so at some point, scaling has to take a back seat. It's more profitability, right? And making sure that everyone on the team is happy and your clients are happy. And also not making sure that it's just a number, right? Long ago, we used to have numbers like, for a client to do business with us, they have to have a budget of X. Today, it doesn't matter as much as let's build that relationship. And as they get to know us, if your goals, your values align with ours, it doesn't matter. Actually, I'll tell you, I had a nonprofit that called me last week and talk about lead nurturing. This is a real one. Not that the other ones weren't, but I'm giving real examples just so your listeners know. I'm just pulling them out of my hat. But last week I get a LinkedIn message. This was the third time that this woman messaged me on LinkedIn, 2020, 2021, and this year. But because I had a virtual assistant taking care of my LinkedIn for years, we missed the message. Because, like everybody else, you get a lot of solicitations on LinkedIn and you just say, forget it. Well, anyways, this was a real person that was in an audience as I was doing a talk. So I finally got around to talking to her last week. She runs a nonprofit that was started in Kenya and is now here in the US. She said, look, I tried to get in touch with you the last 2 years because I had a budget and I knew you've worked with hundreds of nonprofits. So I wanted, you to run our campaign. And I said, well, I'm so sorry. Like, I wish you would have emailed me or called our office because we don't check LinkedIn that often at that time, So she said, okay, well, we got to talking. The bottom line is that in the previous model, Beate, her criteria would have not fit our criteria. And I would have said, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Right. But because we're more value driven and mission based, what she's offering to the world, which is, by the way, cybersecurity for K through 12. That's what she does.
Amazing.
Okay.
Oh my God. It's like somebody
I'm
rang your
like,
bell, right?
Yeah. I said, oh my God, the timing, Sarah. Her name is Sarah. I said, Sarah, the timing of this is perfect. Your budget is fine. We will work with you. I've got my team all briefed and we're excited about it. So, there's a bigger why, and that you're spreading, positive and all the other good stuff that we want to do in business. And I do say that it takes a while to get there, because I couldn't have done this 10 years ago when I wasn't as profitable, the first 2-3 years of the business. So I'm not saying to those who are just starting out, just focus on your why. You have to focus obviously on growing too.
Yeah. I mean, you're touching on some of the basic principles of mindset, gratitude, and really believing that when you do the right thing will come. So, somebody who's listened to all of this and says, wow, this is a great guy, where do we send them, Alex? What can we give them?
Yeah, you can visit us at dadpreneur.co. And I say us because my team is small and mighty, but we are all on top of it. Both my business, Prediq, which we do lead gen there, as well as the Dadpreneur brand, which we have the books, the courses, and all that stuff. If you go to dadpreneur.co, there's a lot of free content. You don't have to get on the email list to get free stuff. You can get free stuff. And as you follow us, you'll get to know, like, look, we've been doing this for over 10 years. We've worked with the big brands, and we're here to help you. And again, if it just starts out as a relationship where we are a resource for you, then great. And down the road, maybe you need the lead gen, good. If not, then I'm sure you'll find something there that's useful.
Excellent. Well, this has been an absolutely fascinating interview. Thank you so much for staying a little extra with me and talk about something that I know that so many people are struggling with. So I want to make sure that our audience really takes the message home. Follow Alex. I follow Alex. He knows what he's doing. You want to know this stuff. This is the core competency of a successful business, is to understand data, traffic, conversion, ultimately sales. Because if you're not here to make your impact, then you're not really helping anyone. And that's what we're all about. So, Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate Gillette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.